Hey, it's Craig Haskell, author of the Inside Game to Syndication Wealth and founder of the Value Hunt Academy, where we help real estate professionals break out into building their wealth syndicating those great deals they come across. Well, I want to welcome you to part 5, the fastest and safest way to raise money for your syndication using this 8-step process. So, in this 7-part video training series, we are digging into the syndication platform big time. And it's a much needed training series for sure, so I want you to stay tuned. You might be asking why. Well, many real estate professionals are confused. Yeah, they're mystified. They lack the understanding of syndication. So, in this training series, we're answering the basic questions. We're answering the basic syndication questions to help you better capitalize on this platform so that you can build your wealth. I mean, come on, it's your game. But I got to say, unfortunately, too many real estate professionals are wasting, and they're missing these wealth building opportunities because they're scared of syndications. And I want to change that. So here's what we've covered so far in the 7-part video training series. Part 1, we covered what a syndication is. We talked about the starting point, the basic structure and foundation of an actual syndication, who the players are, how a syndication works. And in part 2, we talked about how a syndicator actually makes money. What are some of the fees that a syndicator can earn? What type of back-end profits can a syndicator expect? Why syndication is such a great wealth builder. Right? And then we went on to part 3. We covered the complete journey that a syndicator takes. What's the big picture? What's the big picture roadmap of a syndication? We talked about the 20 steps of a syndication, the process. And then in part 4, we uncovered the 4 big mistakes, the biggies that new syndicators make. And we talked about how to avoid them. So we're going to be taking the next step in this process to understanding the basics of a syndication. So as you're looking at right here, here's kind of the overview of part 5 that we're going to be talking about, and it's all about raising money. It's about the money raising process. The 8 steps that you need to follow to successfully raise lots of money for your great deals. And as you can see in the picture right there on the screen, that this is an 8-step process. 8-step process that wealth syndicators follow. This is actually our proprietary Value Hunt unique system that we use and we teach on how to raise money. And as you can see, there really are 2 steps, 2 phases to this process, right? You have the, draw a line right here. We got phase 1 and we got phase 2. Those are the 2 phases. But we're going to break them down into 2 phases, and each phase has got 4 steps. You can see the first phase right there. The first step is create a pitch book. The most important part of this whole process is having a kick-ass business plan. And so we're going to create that in step 1. Then we're going to go out and put together a list of investors. You'll be surprised the types of investors we can get on our list that will be interested in what you're doing. And then we're going to go out in step 3. We're going to conduct these meetings. We're going to talk to our investors and get their interest. And then the ones that have an interest, in step 4, we're going to build a database of those folks. And our goal is really to set up this process that we're going to go through. But in phase 2, once we go out and find a deal, we have a deal lined up, we're going to create our syndication documents. And then we're going to go out and take those syndication documents and talk to investors. Here's our syndication that we want to make a lot of money with. And then in step 7, we're going to close the deal. And then finally in step 8, the gold step, we're going to manage our investors. Okay, that's the 8-step process here. But I want you to remember that this is a process. Okay, this is an 8-step process. Money raising, guys, is a process. It's not an event. We got to get this process set up and we got to work it. And I think if you remember back in part 4, we talked about one of the big mistakes that new syndicators make. Yeah, not having enough time to raise money. Remember that? Yeah. So you've got to set up and work this 4-step process. This first 4 steps, you got to really set up and work that first 4-step process until you have some interested investors before you go out and find a deal. So I want you to spend a lot of time in these first 4 steps before you move on to step 2, phase 2, I should say. And so that's where the opportunity is going to be to get people excited. And if you do this and you get people excited, when you go out and raise some money, it's easy. And it avoids all the problems of not having enough time. Okay? So once you have those interested investors and you've built your database, then I want you to go out and find a deal. That's the time to go find a deal. So let's get started here. In step 1, you can see right there, create your pitch book. And what you're looking at right there is the front page or the title page of my pitch book. Right? You gotta create an information package about what it is you're doing. And what you're going to do is you're going to create a pitch book on your investment strategy. Right? That's really how you're going to make money for investors. That's what it's all about. That's how you're going to do it. And so if you look at my pitch book right there, I have a this is what I call my game plan, right? Or I call it my business plan that I'm executing to make money. So let me tell you about my game plan. I go out and I buy middle market underperforming apartment buildings, and I'm looking for them in emerging markets that I can take and reposition them towards the rapidly growing Hispanic market. And then once I buy these properties, I reposition them using a community lifestyle approach. That really is the concept of my pitch book. I have a whole story built around that. And when I go out and present this game plan to my investors, they get a lot of confidence. They get confidence in me and what I'm doing. You know why? Because I got a plan. And that plan that I just talked to you about solves a big problem in a big market. That's how I get investors excited. And you'll find that your pitch book becomes the very core of what you're doing. It becomes your brand for who you are and what you stand for. Right? It's the backbone of your syndication business. That's why this first step is so important to build around your money raising process, around your syndication business. So let's go on to step 2. Now step 2 is create your investor list. Now that you've got a plan, got your pitch book, your business plan, your game plan, it's time to start creating your list. Your list of potential investors. Those are the people that you know that might have an interest in what you're doing, your investments. So you're going to start to create a list of people where you're actually going to spend some time talking to them. You're going to go out and talk to them in step 3. You're going to conduct these meetings. And your list should be, people on your list should be family members. Family and friends, let's call it. You got a lot of close family and friends, and they're going to go on your list. Hopefully they're people that have money to do this, and so you'll have an idea whether they have the wherewithal to do this. And then I want you to go to work associates, and those could be past work associates, previous employment, people you've known, your boss, co-workers, vendors, right? And then all the people you're working with right now. Who are the people that or your current employment, or your current work environment, people that you know, people you come in contact with, people you've gotten to know. And then the last thing is I want you to talk to professionals. What might that be? Well, that's like lawyers, right? Lawyers, business owners, and then of course real estate owners. These are all people that are a little bit entrepreneurial, and we want people to be a little bit entrepreneurial. We want them to have some acclimation to the real estate. So real estate owners are obviously a pretty good target. I mean, you think about all these people. They're investing in investments that are paying 1-2% interest on CDs, money markets, whatever. They're just not real high generating income. I mean, a lot of the seniors right now are having a hard time paying their bills because they live on this type of income and they're having a hard time. So My goal for you is to really build your list and get it as big as you can. But my challenge for you is I want you to see if you can build your list to a list of, let's say, 100 people, right? I'd like to see 200, but if you get 100 people on your list, it kind of gets us in the game. Can you do it? Sure you can. You can do it. So as we go on to step 3, conduct investor meetings. In this step, we're really going to meet with the investors that are on our list. Remember that we just created a list, we got our pitch book, we got our list, and now it's time to go out and meet these people. And so we got to conduct these meetings. And our goal during this meeting is not to sell them anything. We're not selling them anything. All we're trying to do is get their interest in what we're doing. We're not trying to sell them anything. We're just trying to get them excited about some opportunity, some core of our pitch book, that we came up with to make a lot of money. We want to get them excited about that. That's all we're doing. And so there really are 3 ways to meet with people. We're going to meet with them in person, face to face, right? You might meet them for a meal, might meet them for a drink. And the reason you want to do this, this is probably the most important way and the best way to meet people, is you really want to make it intimate. And when you get together person to person and face to face, it's intimate, right? And you can look at each other in their eyes, and they can see your emotions, you can see their emotions. But most importantly, they can see your passion for what you're doing. And it's real important for them to see that passion, because that gets them excited. If you're excited, they're going to be excited. That's really the game. You want them to be excited, and so they got to see you. The next way to meet people would be a phone meeting. And unfortunately, you may have a lot of these investors, family or friends or people work associates, they're just too far away. They're thousands of miles away, making it hard to get together in person. So what you're going to do is you're just going to send them a little email, and then you're going to attach your pitch book. And then you're going to set up a call to kind of go through the pitch book together. Like we talked about in the first part, meeting in person. It's real important for them to, feel your enthusiasm, to see your enthusiasm. Well, it's kind of hard to do on the phone, right? So you got to do your best to make sure that your emotions and your passions shine through during that phone call. Another big way to get together for meetings is a group meeting. I want you to create an event where you're going to have a group of people to show up. It might be a webinar, it could be a teleseminar, it could be a live event, or any sort of gathering you might get together where it's some industry function that there's a group of people together. You're just trying to get them together, and your goal on this get together is to get people to show up and talk about your pitch book. You're going to be talking about your pitch book. In some of these group meetings, it becomes more of a seminar type thing where you're going to have some more input, more than just a pitch book typically is, because it's more of a concise, big picture how you're going to make money. But you might broaden it out to how you're going to make money in the real estate market and things that are going on and so forth. So that's a big way to get people on your list. And again, during these meetings, I just want to re-emphasize that you're talking about your investment strategy. You're talking about your game plan to make money. You're talking about the opportunity to make money. You're not talking about a specific deal, right? You're not talking about some deal you got. You might violate securities laws if you do that. You're only talking about in general terms on your plan, so that you can gain interest. You're trying to get people excited. Okay? So really, net, in the end, you're trying to find people on your list who are interested in your strategy and investing in a deal that fits your game plan. That's the whole purpose of these meetings. And then once you have these meetings, it's time to start building your database. And all the investors who have an interest during that meeting go into database. And I call it a yes database. So as you can see right here, here's a sample of one of the contacts that we have right there. And in this contact database, we have Johnny Investor. Right? We met with Johnny. He's interested. We need to stay in contact with him. And so for those investors that are interested, who we're going to go contact when we get to step 6, when we actually have a deal and we got the syndication documents, we're going to start to build this database. So we have a nice big database built up. And our goal is to have at least 20 of these people in our database before we go out and find a deal to buy, so that it makes it a lot easier for the fundraising. Right? So this process, guys, takes a little bit of management, takes some oversight, because this is really a special database. These are people that are excited about what you're doing. And your goal is to keep them excited, so we got to stay in contact with them. We got to keep dripping them. Okay, so we've gone through the first 4 steps, right? You see 1, 2, 3, 4. The first step was create our pitch book, our business plan. Step 2 was we were going to create our list of investors. Step 3 is we're going to conduct investor meetings. And in step 4, we're going to build our yes database. We finished pretty much this whole phase right here. Phase 1. We finished that. So that's the most important part of this whole process. And what we're going to do next, what do you think we do next? We talked about it earlier. We're going to go out and find a great deal. That's next in our process. Now, if you remember back in part 4 of the big mistakes that we talked about, yeah, we talked about that you got to find a great deal. That a lot of new syndicators aren't finding a great deal. I mean, especially on your first deal, right? It's real important. You got to find such a good deal that it's a no-brainer to an investor. A no-brainer. You got to make it easy for them. Also, I got to say, I don't want you to buy too big a deal. I want you to buy one deal, a really great deal that you feel comfortable with. Small enough so that you feel like you can go out and raise the money. You got to be able to raise the equity. It's real important. And once you've found a great deal and you've done some due diligence, now it's time to move on to the next step. And that's step 5, create your syndication documents. Right? There's the front page of a PPM right there that you're looking at. So once your deal's under contract and you've removed your contingencies, or you're close to removing contingencies, right? It's time to engage a securities attorney to create these syndication documents. And commonly known as a PPM, right? A PPM is a private placement memorandum. That's what it is. And you need these documents before you can approach investors. You got to have them, right? You're going to go out and engage an attorney. It takes them probably 2 to 3 weeks to finish this document. So knowing that, you got to plan that in your time lag for your deal. You got to plug that in. But I want to emphasize something real important. You need an attorney. You got to get an attorney to create your syndication documents. It's a must. It's a must. And I don't want you to worry about the cost, right? Everybody worries about the cost to do that. Well, the cost can be reimbursed to you from the money you raised in your deal. But you got to get an attorney. It's real important. Get an attorney. Exclamation, underline. Okay? Okay, step 6. Here we are. It's time to raise our investor funds. And like I said, if you do a good job in building your investor database, back in step 4 that we just talked about, then raising the money from investors is going to be pretty easy. It gets easier because you already got them excited about what you're doing. You're going to go out and take all your syndication documents that you had prepared by your attorney, and you're going to meet with them. But I want to tell you about a little tip that you can use, because it really will help you. I want you to create a cover sheet. Cover sheet. Right? I want you to keep a cover sheet that has all the highlights of the deal, the main deal points, because you want those main deal points to stand out. Because if we go back, this document right there, look at that thing. That thing there's a lot going on right there, right? And so you could have 100 pages of stuff that looks like that. But if you have that document plus a cover sheet that has like 4 bullet points on the main money-making aspects of the deal, you're going to make sure that your investors see that. It's real important to do that. So once you get this document, your goal is to get it signed, and they're going to give you some funds. You're going to deposit that into the partnership account. And then once all the funds are raised, we close the deal. But we're in the process of taking our PPM out to our investors and getting them to sign the operating agreement and getting them to sign the suitability agreement and giving us a check. So step 7, we're going to close our deal, right? You got all the equity raised from your investors and it's time to close a deal. So I want to show you how money flows from investors to actually get your deal closed. Okay, let's start with the syndicator. That'd be you with a nice big smile because you're ready to close a deal and make some fees and back in profits. So let's start with you, the syndicator. That's the first key point, is we got to make sure we understand who we are and what we're doing. And the second thing is we got to create our syndication documents. Syndication LLC, right? And this is something you would have created as you're doing your private placement memorandum. And so we already got that created, but we got to go out to a bank and set up a bank account. So we're going to go to Bank of Piggy. And let's say that we're going to raise some money. So we got to go to our investors. So let's just say we're going to have 3 investors. Could have many, depends on your private placement ruling that you're doing. So they're going to fund money into the Bank of Piggy, sign the documents, fund the money in there. And the Bank of Piggy, let's say all that is $750,000. We're raising $750,000. Let's make it a nice low number to keep it simple. And so let's say of the $750,000 that you're going to have $250,000 will be for, let's say, an extra $250,000 for some of your fees. How about reserves? Rainy day fund, right? And maybe you're going to do some rehab and anything else, really. So that's extra money. And now we got to talk about escrow, right? And in some cases, maybe it might be attorneys, it could be a closing agent. It just depends on what state you're in. They're going to close the deal. And so you're going to take and wire the $500 to close the deal. Remember, you had $750 you raised, $250 you're holding for other things such as fees, reserves, and rehab. The $500 goes into escrow. That's what gets the deal closed. And you, the syndicator, is going to manage this process between this bank account and the close of escrow. Okay? All right, let's talk about step 8, manage your investors. Now, we got our deal closed, right? You just saw how we closed our deal. The syndicator, which is you, is going to take all the responsibility of managing that partnership. You're going to manage your investors. You're going to become a money manager. A money manager. You're managing their money. You're doing it. So you become a money manager. Yeah, it has to do with real estate, but you're managing money. And you're going to be doing whatever it takes to make sure your investors have success. You're going to make sure your investor money tree grows. Ultimately, it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility for their success. And, even though this is the last step, it's a critical step. If you want to build a syndication business, a successful syndication business, you need to become very good at executing this step. This is the gold step. I call this the gold step. And successful syndicators know this is the gold step because they know most of their current investors will invest in the next deal. Just like most businesses. 80% of successful business comes from repeat customers or referrals from the existing customer base. Like your business. It's no different in the syndication business. It's the same thing. So I want you to take care of your investors. And if you do that, you're never going to have to worry about raising money again. Never. In fact, you'll get to the point where you have more money than you have deals. That's what we're striving for in this gold step. Okay, let's review the 8-step process. Okay? You can see it right there, the 8 steps. We just went through all 8 steps. And the most important step right there is create your pitch book. I want you to take time. Really take time to do a good job. It probably takes you 6 weeks to do this right. I don't want you to screw it up. It's so important to your business. You need a powerful investment strategy. You got to figure out what that's going to be. How are you going to make money? How are you going to be able to communicate that to your investors? You got to have all this planned out. Okay. Step 2, you're actually going to start to build your list. I want you to build a nice, diverse list. Get at least 100 names on your list. Build your list. And then we're rolling into step 3. Now we're going to take that list and we're going to go out and start talking to people about our pitch book, your investment strategy. I want you to meet at least 3 people per week. If you're getting serious about this business, 3 people per week. You can do it. I mean, you'll be amazed at the energy that you're going to generate from these meetings. There might be new business opportunities. Get out and meet people. And then step 4, I want you to build your yes database of interested investors. These are the people that are excited about what you're doing. And then you're going to put together a little drip campaign to stay in front of them during the process until you get a deal. And again, we're going to try and get at least 20 people in your yes database before you search for a deal. And so now that you have a pool of investors in phase 1 that we just talked about, these first 4 steps right here, you got a pool of investors to go forward. You're going to go find a great deal. You're going to find a deal. And then you're going to go to step 5, and once you have that deal and it's tied up and you like it, you look like you're going to move with contingencies, you're going to go out and engage a securities attorney. You're going to paper the deal. You're going to paper it so you can go out and talk to your investors. You're going to create your PPM or some other type of arrangements you have, but you're going to be able to have those documents to go out and talk to your investors in step 6. In step 6, we're going to go out and meet the investors in our yes database, the ones that said they have an interest. We're going to have them sign the syndication documents, and we're going to get their money. Or we're going to have them wire the money to our partnership account so we can close the deal, which brings up step 7. We're going to close the deal. We're going to close out our syndication funding. It's all done. We have all our investors in the Bank of Piggy, right? And then we're going to wire those funds to the closing agent and close the deal. That's what the syndicator is going to do. And then finally, in step 8, our goal is to take care of our investors. This is the gold step. We're managing their money. We're going to treat them well with good communication, and we're going to get the job done. We're going to generate great performance. And I'm telling you, your investors are going to be excited about what you're doing. They're going to have a hard time waiting for the next deal. And for you, no more worrying about how you're going to fund your next deal. Get this 8-step process set up, guys, and work it. Work it. It's a process. It's not an event. So in part 6, I want to give you a real quick preview because it really is the next part of this training series on the syndication process. And I want to give you a big picture look at that entire syndication process. What's the process? How do we get the process set up, and how do we work it? So I'm going to use some stories, some real stories, and I'm going to use those stories to tell my story. Okay, so there you go, guys. If you need some more help, what I want you to do is I want you to go over to the Value Hound Academy, valuehoundacademy.com. And I want you to dig into those resources. There's tons of interviews, there's tons of videos, there's tons of articles all about the syndication business from every aspect, from the time of trying to buy the property, analyzing it, to managing it, to getting it in escrow, to raising the money, everything. I want you to go over there and dig into it deep because there's a lot of resources. Next thing I want you to do is I want you to register for any upcoming training webinar or event. We don't have anything planned at this moment, but I want you to stay tuned and keep your eyes open. And then finally, I want you to jump on the phone with me. If you're ready to take your business to the next level and you're looking for some mentoring to do that, then I want you to contact Nikki. And there's her contact email address. It's nikki@valuehoundacademy.com. That's nikki@valuehoundacademy.com. And call her and just set up a call and say, hey, I'd like to get together with Craig and talk about what I'm doing. I'm ready to go to the next level, and I'd love to get on the phone with you guys and talk about how I can help you out. Okay, there you go. I sure appreciate you taking the time to go through this part. If you haven't watched the other parts, part 1, 2, 3, 4, I encourage you to do so, and I look forward to catching up with you in part 6.